Alrighty, ladies and gentlemen, good morning. It's Monday, December 12th. A couple weeks out from Christmas. Going to do our Monday morning macro analysis, do a 4-hour sweep. Let's just get right into it. We'll take a look at the 4 hours, see what direction things are moving. What are we looking for this week? What's going on? Got a lot of news events, data release events this week. We got multiple rate hikes on the pound, the euro, and the dollar. I got CPI prints. It's going to be an interesting week. Today on Monday's going to be pretty clear and slow, but be the Hunger Games for the rest of the week. May the odds be ever in your favor. Let's just get right to it. Do a quick 4-hour sweep. Just look at macro structure, quick analysis, see what we're looking at. What do we need to pay attention to right now, and what's going to happen over the next few candles as well. Buttcorn. Good old Bitcoin. Not really much to say. It's been in a range, waiting for Bitcoin to get a little bit lower. Not really much here. I mean, you got your effective trading range. I would call something like this. Don't have to refine this down too crazy. Something along those lines. We're in a range. It's rejected off the top. Figured that was coming. This doesn't tend to move very much over the weekends. Come on. Not really much to say. We're not on a low or a high. What I see here still is this, kind of a macro range. If my mouse will cooperate. Pulled a Bart Simpson the other day on Friday, I believe, and now it's just still on the way down. Bart's forehead is printing still. That oil looks good too. Oil's pulling back. I might have to pause for just a second. I'm going to take oil long while we're talking about this, if I can find it quick enough. Oil guys in the group. Hold on one second. Let me bring up my risk manager. We're not going to demo that yet, but probably should. Wait until you guys see what's coming. You have no idea what's about to happen. I'm going to risk, whatever, a little bit. Not much. X to execute. Oil long on the pullback for the group. It's worth it. It's worth a shot. Anyway, back to analysis. Bitcoin. Let's see. So yeah, it's in a range. Not really much to say here. Just waiting. I would wait for it to get back to the bottom of the range and just range trade it for now. It is consolidating at a higher level above its kind of what looks like kind of like a cycle low. I don't know. This is kind of a weird one for it to drop and then hold like that. It doesn't look great. I would just be trading it on ranges. And again, these are 4-hour candles. So it's not, there'll be day trades and moves inside of the macro move. We're just kind of looking at structure and what's going on over the next few hours. My guess is that this is going to be in a range and then eventually flush that out back down to the downside. It tends to be what happens there. Whatever. Not going to get super refined on this, but it would be probably just watching the bottom of the range with buyers kicking in somewhere in there. No trade right now. There's no gangster entry on that, especially long. Dollar, that doesn't look good. However, the dollar is very low on what's likely going to be some kind of a macro range that hasn't fully developed yet. I would be careful trying to sell this dollar right now. You got a 50 basis point rate hike inbound. It's clearly not priced into the market. Careful with that because of where this is. Would be waiting for a potential Leroy Jenkins long here. Straight, whatever this is going to do, and then straight up Leroy Jenkins. And we got a rate hike coming this week. So be ready for that because of where this is. Again, just logic wise, just simple common sense. Do you really want to sell something that's already down that much back to what could potentially be a range low? Like, look at the inflection point here. Do you really want to start selling this here? I don't personally. I don't really want to do that. However, this current candle, this previous 4 hour print wasn't very good. That doesn't mean much though. This thing could possibly make a higher low, but if for some reason it broke this macro swing low this week, like today or something, like if this ran down or something, I'm absolutely interested in being long the other way. It's coming, guys. You know what's coming. Everybody knows what's coming on this. It's going to be a face melter to the upside. It's coming. Now the question is when is that coming, and should we mess with it right now is the question. It's not really an entry right this second, obviously. Over the next few candles, what's likely to happen? Whatever. I don't know, not much. I would wait for this one to close. I could see this flushing down a little bit. Could potentially have a weaker dollar here for at least a few more hours. And then I bet it'll bounce or something inside of this range, and we'll watch how this structure plays out here. It's time to start paying attention to this on the dollar. This whole thing could be coming in here and like start making higher lows, and then we'll see. We got some very powerful news events coming, data releases coming this week. Got CPI. That's going to be, look at oil. Oil just had a good bounce, guys. That's going to be a good trade. CPI is going to be some volatility. Got a rate hike coming. Got all kind of stuff going this week. So we're trying to get positioned. We're looking for positioning today on things that have a lot of potential room to travel. That's what we're looking for. Aussie dollar. Trying to catch some distance with low risk. Aussie dollar, kind of the inverse there of the dollar index. Same thing. I mean, I just tend to look at markets like this where we've got what's clearly an impossibility of drawing a straight line. What's clearly a range here. I wouldn't want to be long or short here, knowing that the dollar is likely to get stronger as the week goes on. Doesn't have to, but that would be your higher probability move at this point, in my opinion. I wouldn't want to be long on Aussie dollar. Now, however, short term, this price action is pulling back. I could see this potentially going both ways, to be honest. This got ranges. Markets move in ranges. Blocks of price up and down. That's how it works. That's why we don't do diagonal trend lines. Used to be the laser show master years ago. Boy, did I learn that was wrong. Hold on. And voices capitulating already. So you see what's going on there, Aussie dollar. It's probably not a good time to get in it either way. I'm sipping my coffee. Probably not a good idea to get into this either way. I could see this doing both. And we'll watch the dollar for that. Right now, the Aussie is a little bit stronger short term, but pretty flat. Overall, it's pretty flat. These are not the droids you're looking for. Euro dollar, going to have the same, very similar analysis. The euro is a little bit stronger. Same thing. I mean, there's not really much here. I mean, you could set up an effective trading range, and then, I don't know, you got to go back pretty far back to see what's going on there. I mean, you got some highs up here. If you really just wanted to refine this down, this is what I would be watching really right there, that whole level. And we may not be there yet. Yeah, so it tried. We'll just call it something like that. It's a little block right there, and then it sold off. Just, you see kind of what we got going on, kind of starting to see a theme unfold here. Gosh, sit here and talk for 12 hours a day or more sometimes, and voice is in a perpetual state of wrecked. Yeah, this, whatever. And again, these are 4 hour candles. I could see this ranging a little bit, and we'll watch the dollar. The dollar does look a slightly weaker short term today. Again, I know these are 4 hour candles, but I could see the dollar rolling down a little bit, and this may pull back and poke up a little, on something like euro dollar. The euro's strong, but it started to flatten out short term. There's not much here. You can see how we're kind of range bound there. Euro yen, very similar. I think this is probably going to be a short on short lower time frames. But we're just talking about macro stuff here. What's likely to happen? You can see that we're just back in this point where this just continues to sell. Now that doesn't mean it's going to stay that way. And again, we'll watch the movement on the yen. The yen is weak right now, short term today. Kind of looking at multiple time frames here, looking for confluence. But as far as the macro move, which is really the point of this Monday morning analysis, what's likely to happen as the week goes on? What are we looking for this week? What's the direction? This is one of those things that's hard to say. You got a potential lower high here. This has been making lower highs, and this would be an appropriate place. Lower highs and lower lows, by the way. This would be an appropriate place to reject again and come back down. So we just probably don't want to be long here. Don't want to enter long right here. You know what I mean? That's not a good idea. So we know we're not interested in longs right now in euro yen. Why would we buy the top of a range where it's sold off a bunch of times at a potential point of lower highs? It's just not a good idea. If it pokes through there, we'll be watching levels higher, like maybe up here. There's some gaps, whatever. Right this second, probably not a good idea to mess with it. Hold on. Wrecked. So again, not interested in longs right here. I would be more interested in some kind of a pullback within the range. We'll watch it. It's already up. We've already been up for 16 hours going into some selling. We know we don't want to be long there. Euro Kiwi. This kind of looked like a short on lower time frames, but when you look at it like this, it doesn't look like a short so much anymore. Look how down this already is. We're way down on this kind of thing. 1,000 pips just burying into the ground, equal low down here all of a sudden. So we've stopped making lower lows at the moment, and we're potentially in some kind of a range, right? So we're at the bottom of the range, and we don't want to be short down here. We don't want to be short with any looking for any distance or anything. Smaller time frames, whatever. I don't trade the 1 minute chart. Not hating on it. It's just not my thing. I'm into lower risk, higher probability. If you want to gamble, that's fine. Everybody can make their own decisions. It's just not what I do personally, which is fine. Everybody, there's multiple ways to make money in this market. That's the cool thing about trading. There's so many ways to make money in the market. Depends on how much risk you want to take. Personally, I'm into low risk, very accurate, consistent trading. Nothing wrong with putting it all on black and spinning the wheel. Range here, we're closer to the low than to the high. We did just bounce and make a kind of an equal low. It's a higher low, but almost like a double bottom. It's not a good entry. I would maybe looking for pullbacks on that on lower time frames, but could potentially be something. I think we tried to take this long last week and caught it, and then it came back. It's a possibility. Getting these ads on TradingView. There's a possibility that does make it up a little bit. I would rather be long than short, and would have to look at it on lower time frames. It's not the best entry now because we've just sold off a couple times, right? And you don't want to buy into selling, basically. You don't really want to buy into buy side liquidity. It's not a good idea. You're just up being used as a pawn. You're the little fish. Moving on, Euro Aussie. This looks a little better than Euro Kiwi. Still in a range. See how everything's just in these consolidations, like on the macro. It's kind of boring. Just right off the bat, just marking up charts. There's a whole zone right here. That would be a thing. Below that, going to be watching down here, watching the underside, watching the low end of the block there that's formed back here. That was some important price action back there. We won't get into all that right this second. Yeah, it's just kind of, see how we're just kind of right in the middle. I could see this popping up a little bit more. Euro Aussie. The euro is definitely strong today. It's the strongest currency short term. On lower time frames, it's the strongest currency. Now that may stall. The pound is starting to gain though too. Pound's being a menace right now. So this may be a thing. Dollar's coming down, by the way. Dollar just broke the low. Good game. Looking for a weaker dollar today anyway. But when it gets down, we'll make some decisions. It's not at a decision point right now. Just very weak dollar, very weak CAD right now, short term. So anyway, Euro Aussie, kind of in a range. There's not a lot of information sometimes on Monday morning, but that's why we're looking at the macro move. Where are we looking on the upside targets and downside targets, so we can get an idea. As of right now, this looks like it's going to go higher. Euro is stronger than the Aussie, makes sense. Trending in that direction. Euro CAD, it's going to be a short period, end of story. Just waiting to find the point that's the best entry. Let's go back a little bit. You guys know how I feel about supply and demand going back too far, but they got to go back to February. And again, we'll go over the logic of what I'm about to do here and why I don't agree with it. And why also some people still make decisions. All right, so just to make this short and sweet, I've done a video about this. We've talked about it many times in the past. Everybody gets triggered when I say this. It's December. And to go back to the next supply and demand level, or whatever you want to look at, whatever you want to call it, you got to go back to February. So almost a year. Got to go back, 10 months until you get to this next level. Now, so this was 10 months ago. What is the likelihood that all of this money is still in the same configuration on the books? That it's still there? What's the likelihood that all of this money is still there and you should use this for a supply level? Tell me how that makes sense. It doesn't, does it? Makes zero sense, actually. You're going to go back a whole year. You're going to tell me that nobody has closed their positions. Nobody's closed their shorts. Nobody's moved some money into another account or something in 10 months. And you think that price should stop here because that money's still there. Think about how dumb that sounds when you think about it that way. It's pretty crazy, isn't it? And this is why I've said this many times and people flip out about it and get triggered, is supply and demand breaks down after a certain amount of time. The logic of it just falls apart. The whole logic of supply and demand, order blocks, whatever you want to call it, it completely falls apart once you go back, far enough on higher time frames. So we're looking at this, we're going to expect that price is going to stop here because back in February, 10 months ago, there was some money here. There's some positions taken in this consolidation. And we're going to expect that all of that money is still there in the same configuration. None of it's changed. And it should stop here. Think about how ridiculous that sounds. Ridiculous. But people, and here's the thing, humans make decisions based on historically significant data and historically or things that have happened in the past, what we call historically significant levels. You're making a decision based on the fact that some people got trapped in a consolidation here in February. And you're assuming that none of them have changed their positions and all of this money is still, all of this is still on the books in the same configuration from 10 months ago. Ridiculous. And it's not true. And if you're looking back too far, on supply and demand and stuff like that, you're doing it wrong. However, humans are going to make decisions based on that information. So it's one of those catch-22 things like Fibonacci. Talk about it all the time. You got a million traders all making decisions at the exact same levels, drawing their retracements from the same highs to the same lows, and then they all make decisions at the same levels and believe that it's magic. It's not magic. So EuroCAD, I could see this, people buying into this potentially a little higher. Right now, we're looking to sell the high of the day on EuroCAD for sure. Looking to sell the high of the day. It's a higher high. What better time to sell than on a higher high? And we're watching our G13 classified levels on the range tool for entries here. Going to be looking to position on the high of the day. Short, the other way, the opposite direction. Infinity to the downside. There's no reason to even have a downside target on this. We're waiting for this to put in some highs and then roll over. It's going to be a great trade coming here. EuroCAD, Pound CAD as well, and we'll get there. Euro Pound. What else? Euro Pound. Not a huge fan of this. Trading this one. I watch it religiously to decide whether I'm going to take the pound or the euro as far as a basket. But what I don't really trade the pair itself very much. I do trade it sometimes. If the setup is there, I'll trade it. Right now, we're just locked in a range. We're right in the middle of it. It's garbage. There's nothing really to do here. The euro and the pound go the same direction so often that this can be really choppy and messy, and it's just not a very good choice sometimes to trade. It's good to help you determine whether the pound is stronger than the euro or vice versa. If you're planning on taking a pound-based something like pound Aussie, you might want to know whether the euro is stronger than the pound. Say, well, maybe the euro is looking like it's going to be stronger, so I'll take euro pound instead, or euro Aussie instead. Use it more like an indicator, a directional indicator than anything. I don't necessarily trade the pair as often. And there are reasons. It's about relative volatility. It's one of the big things we talk about. Direction and rate matter on currency indexes. Matters a lot. Pound Aussie. Moving on. Good game. Before this candle happened, I would say I could see this going higher. I just wouldn't enter it now. Good game on that. The pound is strong short term. Be looking to go probably down there on the lows. It's already made it. Just mark up the chart. Big gap above us. That over there. Yeah, so this will be a thing right here. On the up move, we'll be watching that for sure. But again, you got to go back to March. Again, the logic of this just doesn't make sense, but I know that people are going to be watching this. So it's one of those, it's a self-fulfilling prophecy is exactly what it is. It makes no sense logically, 0 sense actually. But it becomes true because people believe it. It's something that isn't true that becomes true because people believe it. Now, how about that? Think about it. Real mind job there about supply and demand on higher time frames. Self-fulfilling prophecy. Pound Aussie. Again, range bound. We're coming off the low. I'd rather be long than short. It's not a good entry though. These are 4-hour candles again. You don't want to buy something that's on the high of the day right now. It's probably not a good idea. Let this candle close and let it pull back a little bit maybe. It's crazy because there's just not a lot happening here. Skip it for now. We'll move through this. Don't want to spend too much time doing this. Pound Kiwi, same thing. There's nothing to do. I'm not even going to bother marking all this up. It's garbage. The pound and the Kiwi are going the same direction. There's nothing here really. I wouldn't want to be long. I wouldn't want to be short. I would want to be long only. It's not a good, I wouldn't want to be long from here. It's not really a good entry. You'd be buying into selling. Probably rather be long from the bottom of the range on pullbacks. It's not terrible. it's not terrible. It's something like this. We're near the bottom of it. I would be looking to buy into red candles and maybe get some pullback up inside the range. I would only want to be long there. But it's not a good entry right now. And we'll watch this on lower time frames for entries. Ooh, oil dumped. What the heck happened? Sorry, I want oil to break that low so I can get a good entry on it. I was willing to try it once because of the price action. Maybe, still maybe. Didn't dump, it just put in a red candle there. Pound dollar. Whatever, man. I mean, this pound has been so strong. Just not a good long. It was above a previous shelf high too. Just up, higher, low, higher, low, higher, low, higher, low. Is it flattening out is the question. Again, not a good entry. You kind of see what's going on here. This market wide, we're in this kind of crap. These ranges, like gosh, man. I mean, if you wanted to split this logically and say, look, there's sell zone, buy zone, which is arguably the correct way to do this because it's how markets work. Markets move in horizontal ranges. We're near the top of the range right now. I would be looking for shorts, because in the cycle we're deep into the cycle. This cycle is pretty mature at this point. This isn't new. We're way up and on the high of the range. It just logically, it's not a good long. It's not a good idea to go long here. I would be looking for a pullback for sure. But messy, man. Like, it's messy. Be looking to sell the high of the day today on pound dollar. Sell the high of the day, let it pull back, probably get a good trade. Pound yen, same situation. It's up. Range contraction here. This is kind of ugly. Got it's contracting range. Got higher lows and lower highs. Obviously be watching up here where the selling kicked in. We're just running into traffic again. We'll probably be looking to sell the high of the day. There's a whole bunch of stuff going down here. It looks like there's a lot of interest in buying. The yen may be changing directions. I would actually be looking to short this, to be honest. I think euro yen's probably going to be a short too. When the pound starts to roll over, this is going to be a better short than a long. Skip it for now. I'm not a fan of pound yen, honestly. And lately it's been garbage. Look at the price action. Like, look at the price action here. Just days of garbage. Like, if you only trade pound yen, this is what you've been in. Like, this is the mess that you've been trading in. It's just garbage to me personally. I don't know. I don't know. Just understanding the relative volatility situation between the pound and the yen and its relationship. Pound yen's just not a great choice. It's not. I don't know why everybody trades it. I think because everybody trades it. Again, another self-fulfilling prophecy here in pound yen. Also happens to be the pair that people lose the most money on. It's number one for losses. Pound yen's the number one pair for losses. Fun fact, true story. I don't know. I mean, sometimes it's got good setups, but if you only trade this one pair, you're going to be sitting around waiting, and you're not going to get a lot unless you're trading a 1 minute chart. But again, for what I'm looking to do, low risk distance moves within a day trading context. I'm looking for 50 to 100 pips minimum. This is not really my thing. I think this is going to be a short though, coming though. Going to watch this today because of what it may be getting there. Possibly sell the high of the day today, but it's not in a good spot. Oh, this pound CAD. Not even going to bother looking back. You can see what's going on here. Again, going to be looking to sell the high of the day. What better time to sell than on a higher high? Broke the high, broke the high again. Going to be looking for that move back down. That could be a move back down like that. Big one. Why does this keep popping up, that little thing? Yeah. Going to be looking to sell the high of the day on this. It's obviously not a buy. Whenever we break a previous swing high, it's no longer a long. It's not a buy anymore. So we're looking to scale into the high of the day for the pullback. Crazy. Buku stupid dum-dum high up here. Leroy Jenkins status. X Games mode. Looking to sell it, go back the other way. Pound CAD. Good opportunity. Pound Swiss. Not even going to bother wasting my time on this. Look at the candle bot. Look at this section of price right here. Look at the candle bodies here. Look how small and messy. These are 4-hour candles. Look how choppy that was. Almost impossible to stay in a trade there. It's just, this is another one of those that's just not great. Sometimes it has good setups, but in general, like pound yen, and for the same reason, the exact same reason, because of the carry trade, this is not a good choice. It's just not a good choice. Nothing. Skip it. It's trash. You're too close to buyers and sellers. You know, just look at your current price action here. There's nothing. I don't even know why this is on my watch list. Nothing. We're in the middle of the price action hamburger. You only enter into buns. Giggity. S&P. Come on, S&P. Really want to catch this short, but from higher right now. What's likely a range low that hasn't fully developed. It kind of has. I mean, you can see, you know, what if you split it this way logically, you know, and said buyers on the bottom, sellers on the top. If you just looked at this like a horizontal range, look at where we are. We're coming off the low. I'd rather be long. Only one direction to trade this right now. It's long. We got a weaker dollar inbound. The dollar is weaker. Probably got more to go, which is another thing. We've got a continually weak dollar here. So this is a thing. It's not a good entry. I would be looking to take pullbacks. You know, obviously going to be watching right there first and foremost. It's not a good entry here, but I could see us coming up. Kind of missed the entry. Weird. It was a good short on Friday. We caught it short on Friday. Very good trade. That candle right there, boom, that down candle right at the end of the day on Friday. But out of it now. Wouldn't want to be short anymore. I'd like to see this pull up and make a lower high and then eat dirt. Like, I think this is going to be a big macro move short. If you zoom out, just nothing but lower highs here at, I don't know. I'd rather be long though for now, just in case it does run up. You don't want to be short from the bottom of a range. It's just not a good entry. This kind of price action is not great. So that's a thing. NASDAQ's going to be identical. There's no reason to go into it. Dow's going to be identical. Going to have identical. The Russell, most major stock market indices, I'm sure, even like the FTSE and stuff like that. The DAX maybe even have very similar structure. They all move together because they're all traded as a basket together. It's just the way it is, with slight variations, but generally the same directional move on the macro and same structure. So nothing here really. I'd rather be long than short. It's not a good entry. We'll watch that. It's kind of no trade right this second. Got some news this week though. And if you wanted to position while something's already at an extreme of a range, maybe we'll watch this today. Got a lot of news inbound this week. And I'm afraid that before tomorrow's data, that's going to be slow and boring. Dollar CAD, nothing to say here. Range contraction, lower high, higher low. I'd really just rather be short from higher, but nothing here at the moment. We'll watch it on lower time frames. It's kind of crap at the moment. It's starting to see a pattern here. Not great. Oil, I want to be long from lower. This is going to be an incredible opportunity. When this runs back up, when we get that V recovery on oil, going to, again, trying to buy the low of the day every day until it goes. Don't miss this. You're going to feel like an idiot when you miss this trade. It's going to be a big one. Don't sell something that's down. Shorts are scaling out. Shorts are scaling out here. You don't want to miss this. Fundamental, schmundamental, don't care. Watch the technicals. There are a lot of entities that have a vested interest in this not being too low for too long. Specifically the United States and Saudi Arabia have an interest in oil not being, they don't want to see oil at $70 no matter what, no matter about gas prices. Saudis don't care about US gas prices for one thing, and the US exports oil. It's one of the largest money makers for the US, so got a problem here, got to catch 22. As a corporation, the United States doesn't want to see oil stay this low for too long. So that's a thing. So we'll watch this, and just technically it's time to start paying attention to oil. There's a level that we're watching down here. I think it's like a weekly level that's coming. We're in the juice right now, getting juicy fruit down here. And we're watching this. We're looking to buy the low of the day every day until this goes up. Well, it's not stopped out yet. Stopped yet. It's actually better than it was. Looking to buy the low of the day. We'll watch that. But don't miss that trade, guys. Don't miss that. You're going to feel like an idiot when you miss that buku run that's coming back up. Gold. Range contraction. Lower high, higher low. It's crap right now. Short term, I could see this potentially going higher. We'll watch this. Watch this for a better entry on lower time frames, but that just put in a good candle. That last candle was good. And again, our job right now is to figure out what's going to happen over the next few hours. What are the next two candles going to look like on the 4-hour chart? This is our 5 a.m. to 9 a.m. We've got our 9 a.m. to 1 p.m. and our 1 p.m. to 5 p.m. market close. We've got two candles left on the 4-hour within today's daily candle. Basically today's daily. We've got two of these left on the 4-hour. This one, and then our 9 to 1 and our 1 to 5. So what are the next two candles after this one likely to look like? I could see this pulling back a little bit and going higher. It's a possibility. We'll see what's up. We got a weaker dollar. The dollar stalled short term at a very predictable place. We'll look at that in just a minute on the other side, but it was the previous weekly center mass. Algorithmically, very important level. It stalled to the pip, and I do think it's going to go a little lower today, though. And it's going to pull back for a couple hours and then go back and break the low. So as the dollar gets weaker, this makes sense. And we do have, again, careful this week, guys. We got a lot of news. We'll look at that in just a second, but we got a lot of data release. We got 3 different currencies that have a rate hike coming, and CPI, the monthly and yearly print CPI. Lot potentially going on there. This is not going to be the week to gamble. I mean, I guess maybe it could be if you want to gamble in the volatility, but two schools of thought on that. Depends on how you want to look at it. Silver, it's a short. It's a better short than a long. Just not the right entry right this second. But could be. I'd again be looking to sell the high of the day. Every time this makes a higher high, going to be looking to sell it. Up already, and I'm just going to try to catch the higher high for the pullback. Easy peasy, just watching the high of the day, just waiting where our projected high is going to be. So what do we learn? We learned that it's early. It's early in the week. It's Monday. There's not really a whole lot popping here. Crypto's in no trade right now. All the FTX stuff hasn't fully shaken out yet. There's still many more shoes to drop there. The lower this price goes, the more entities are going to fail. And we just may not have seen the end of it yet. This is just not a good trade technically at the moment. We're kind of right in the density or right in the middle of a consolidation, it's never a good place to trade. You have equal opportunity to get stopped out on both directions. It's not generally the best thing to do. I would be looking for it to hit a low or a high before I even tried a position. I hope it goes up for everyone's sake. I know a lot of people have a lot of money in crypto right now, that a lot of uncertainty. I hope it goes up for everyone else. I am holding a smaller amount of Bitcoin that I'm not selling until it goes and breaks the high. I've got like a 0.1. I used to have a lot more than that, and I've been holding it for years. That Bitcoin hasn't moved since I think late 2016, which is actually crazy. Still in a wallet, hasn't moved. And I'm not selling it until it goes on the next bull run. The next bull run, and when it breaks the high, I'll get out. Nothing here. There's nothing to do right now on it. What have we learned? Dollar's probably going a little bit lower, but there's a lot of risk of upside in the dollar. So just be aware of that. There's a lot of upside risk here. This whole thing could change very quickly, and what it looks like right now might not be what it looks like later. And if this comes down and holds some kind of a range down here, it's close to what could potentially be the low of the day. And if it comes down and does this kind of thing, starts making higher lows, that could easily happen. Do not count that kind of thing out. Easily. You don't want to be shorting the bottom down here. Don't be a bottom shorter. Nobody likes a bottom shorter. Don't do that. I'm going to be watching this though. We'll watch this swing low. I'm not sure that that's going to break. Looking at short-term price action, but I think this is going to come down just a little bit more, and it's likely going to be a reasonable attempt for a long. There's a possibility that this kind of starts making higher lows here and holds, and then takes a rip back up on one of the news events tomorrow. So positioning on this now might be a thing, like euro dollar short, Aussie dollar short. These things that are way high. Euro dollar short for sure. Pound dollar. Trying to sell the high of the day. Aussie dollar, pound dollar, euro dollar, Kiwi dollar. Dollar CAD long the other way. Possibly. Dollar CAD may not be a great choice because the CAD is likely to gain as well. So it just might not be the best choice. Oil looks interesting where oil is. This is probably the juiciest thing happening in the market right now. Oil long technically is a great opportunity. Gold, I think we're going to close higher today on gold. I think gold is starting to look like a decent long entry. I want to see it pull back a little bit short term, but that's a maybe. On the macro, it's probably not a good idea to be super long here if you can see what's going on. But again, within a day trading context, I could see us moving higher. Not really a lot going on yet. Again, just quickly to close this out. We're full of news events this week. Monday, not much today. There's not much going on today. But tomorrow, where is it? Yeah, tomorrow we got CPI. So volatility event inbound tomorrow morning at 8:30. Only thing I care about is the time. What time is that volatility event coming in? And I will look at positioning. I will look at where the market is, and I'll make a directional determination based on the technicals. I don't care what this data print is. I don't care. They get faded just as many times as they don't. They'll go the opposite direction of what they air quotes should go. It gets faded too much. It's not useful. If this is not consistent on Forex Factory, if this isn't consistent, then it's not useful. And it's clearly not consistent. They get lowballed, highballed. These estimates, they'll lowball the estimate, then come out stronger. And even though it's still bad, it shows green and everybody buys it and it gets faded the opposite direction. And like all this, it's stupid. It's ridiculous. The only thing that matters is right here. What time is this going to happen? And I'll make my own determination directionally based on where we are technically. This is garbage. And if it weren't for the times, I say this all the time, if it weren't for the time listed when the volatility event is going to happen, I would delete this bookmark from my browser. It's useless information. 8:30 tomorrow, volatility, CPI. Probably going to see some big candles tomorrow, depending on how that comes out. Yeah, would watch this. Watch this for a potential low ball here. You know, if they say 7.3 and it comes out 7.4, you know what I mean? Even though it's bad, you know. Wednesday. Now we're talking here. 50 basis point rate hike. So no more 75s. We'll see if it comes out as expected. I'm sure that it would. This is something that could potentially be priced in tomorrow or starting today. So this is the thing. We'll watch this. We got some risk in equities because of this potentially. There's could be some potential longs in equities because of this. And this may flush the dollar out, but just be careful because of where the dollar is for a fade. This is a prime opportunity for a fade. I'm going to say it now, and we're going to come back and we're going to watch this video again. We're going to do an update after the news this week. Be careful of the fade this week because of where the market is. Be careful with this stuff. But volatility event there, 2 p.m. Thursday, again, rates on the euro. Rates on the pound and the euro on Thursday. So again, another big day there. Not likely to be as big as the federal funds rate or CPI. Everybody's watching the inflation numbers. This is the thing that people care about the most is the inflation numbers. We'll get that tomorrow. And then obviously the 50 bips hike, you know, that'll be a thing. We'll hear what Powell has to say. It'll be later in the day at 2 p.m. I hate these kind of days because London will be dead. New York session will probably be dead. Everybody waits and sits on their hands and doesn't make decisions with their money until the data comes out because they have to, especially, you know, banks, especially with policy is set based on these rates and they can't really front run it until they know for sure that it's set in stone in the books that the number is going to be what the number is going to be. So that's why it moves big when the number prints. So we got some volatility events this week, and it'll probably be slow on Wednesday until that because it's so much later in the day, 2 p.m. Wall Street time. You can have a slow trading day on those types of things when you get a data release that's late in the day. Thursday, again, we got the pound rates and euro rates, fun times, and some core retail sales, which may not be as big of a deal. Maybe we'll get a little bit of information about Black Friday shopping, but whatever. I don't know if that's already come in or not. But yeah, so rates, euro and pound rates Thursday. And then Friday, I think, was pretty clear, but some, you know, whatever, PMI. Those aren't as big of events. But Hunger Games this week, CPI, 50 basis point rate hike on the dollar. Look at where the dollar is. And we're at a prime spot for some wreckage in the market here. So we want to be very careful this week. We're going to try to position on the lows and highs of the day before all that starts, starting today and tomorrow. Whatever extremes we can get into, we'll try to take that, see if it gets faded the other way. You don't really want to be short dollar here. It's not a good idea. And then we'll come back and figure it out what happened afterwards. But would be looking for this dollar to probably start turning around very soon. Just may not necessarily be right this second. The crazy thing is the equities market is also at a spot where it may turn around. So this is either going to snap and run lower. And I would be careful with this because this could be just a liquidity generation event. Everybody's going to buy into this and this whole thing is going to snap hard to the downside and everybody's going to be confused and not understand why. And there's a potential fade coming. So just be careful with this as the week goes on with these data releases. Get a lot of news headline risk, a lot of news risk, not really headline risk, but data release risk this week. Anyway, we'll continue this on. We'll drop down in some lower time frames in the group stuff. Just wanted to take a look and see what's going on. Macro analysis. It's kind of slow this morning. There's not really a lot going on. The euro and the pound are strong. Dollar and the CAD are weak, but it's already happened. I think we can pretty much see that we've got a whole bunch of range, choppy garbage going on. Whole bunch of hot garbage. Everything's in a range. We'll have to go down into lower time frames and see what we can do here. We'll get something today. We'll get a hold of something like this, maybe a thing, a rejection on euro yen. That's a possibility. Euro CAD, I think the CAD stuff, pound CAD, euro CAD could potentially be some good trades today. Whatever's at the tops and bottoms of its ranges really is probably going to be the thing right now. Anything that's on a crazy higher high or lower low like pound CAD or whatever's in a range is probably what we'll be looking for today. There's a whole bunch of mess in the market. A lot of news events this week. Got to stay on our toes, keep our heads on a swivel this week. This could be interesting this week. I don't know. We're waiting for this big shift in the market. It's like oil might be holding. I think gold's probably going to be a trade here. I'm going to wait for it to pull back. It needs to pull back a little bit more though. Anyway, I don't know, man. We'll see. It's just going to be one of those weeks. We'll have to play this by ear, and it's possible that the bias would change depending on what information we get. I kind of want to see how we're going to close today, and there's a good possibility that this is going to be a good week because of the volatility events. We just got to be careful. You don't want to YOLO this stuff in an uncertain environment. We got some conflicting information. It doesn't appear that 50 basis point rate hike is very priced in at the moment. With this already being down, I know that's what markets are looking for. Markets want to see a slowdown or a pause. Risk assets, at least. Stock market does. For that reason, I could see us definitely going higher. There's some other reasons why this may be a perfect opportunity to fade the volatility, so be very careful this week. Obey your stops. Not financial advice, just life advice. Don't buy the top, obey your stops. Life advice. Anyway, we'll shut this down. We'll come back and take a second look at this. Let's see what's going on with these news events first. We're going to drill down in some lower time frames, see if we can catch some pips today. Everybody have a good day, and we'll catch you later in the week.